I believe in pink and Audrey Hepburn. Hello everyone, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. I make videos to inspire you to be the star of your own life. I'm continuing my Masculine Feminine Energies film breakdown series with the 1954 classic Sabrina, starring Audrey Hepburn, Humphrey Bogart, and William Holden. If you're new to my channel and not sure what I mean by masculine and feminine energies, welcome. I talk about this in a lot of my videos, but a brief summary. Masculine and feminine energies are energies that live within all of us. We all contain both energies, but we all have a core energy that's the energy we are most ourselves in. It very often links up with our gender, but it doesn't always. We can be in healed or wounded versions of either of these energies, and all of these energies have archetypes. And in order to have sexual polarity in a relationship, you need one partner to be embodying the feminine energy and another partner to be embodying the masculine energy. Because opposite energies attract sexually and the same energies repel sexually. Today we're looking at the film Sabrina. This is an Audrey Hepburn classic. Audrey Hepburn stars as Sabrina, who is a young girl whose father is a chauffeur and repairman, takes care of all the cars for this very wealthy family. And Sabrina lives above the garage with her father, and she is coming of age. This wealthy family has two sons, Linus, who's played by Humphrey Bogart, and David, who's played by William Holden. And Linus is basically all work. He is the responsible one, he is focused, and David is the fun-loving playboy. Now we find out very early on that Sabrina has a massive crush on David, which is actually not that uncommon. Sabrina in the beginning of this film embodies the maiden archetype, which I have a video all about the feminine archetypes. So if you want to watch it, this is my Legally Blonde video. And the maiden archetype often fantasizes about this sort of handsome prince who's going to whisk her away. And so it's not that uncommon for young girls in their maiden archetype to fall for boys who are a little unstable, not necessarily fully embodying their masculine energy, but ones that are more of an escape. It's very interesting. You find out that Sabrina likes to spy on David when he is trying to like romance girls. And David is actually romancing a girl at a very fancy party, and Sabrina is sort of spying on them from a tree. And she makes a comment about this woman that David is interested in, that she doesn't like girls who giggle. And I do have to admit, in this film, like, her giggling does get kind of annoying. But in general, it's very common for women who haven't fully either stepped into their feminine energy, or for women who have rejected parts of their feminine energy or just not connected with them in some way, to look down upon or judge women who are fully embodying their feminine energy, who are being more playful, who are being more fun-loving, who are maybe more sexually open. When we shame and judge other people, it's often because we're envious that they have something within them that we're not embodying in ourselves. And in this case, it's very likely Sabrina not stepping into that that womanly feminine energy of being, you know, being a woman, being connected to your sexuality, being connected to your flirtatiousness, sort of like a coming of age and growing into an adult. And of course, she is jealous, of course, that this woman has David's attention, but in reality, that's really about the things that Sabrina wishes that she had in herself that were attracting David, really. It's not really about this woman. So Sabrina's father is going to send Sabrina to Paris to study cooking. And Sabrina doesn't want to go. She wants to stay and just fawn over David. And so Sabrina decides she's going to end her life. And she actually attempts to kill herself. And Linus actually finds her. And it's hard to know whether Linus actually knows that Sabrina was trying to kill herself, but Linus steps in to rescue her, which is very symbolic of masculine energy. It's very symbolic of him being the hero, of him being the responsible one, of him being the one who is, you know, really taking charge. Linus has some really amazing masculine qualities. I'll get to that in a minute. So Sabrina survives and she goes off to Paris. And Paris is really symbolic, I believe, of her stepping into her feminine energy. She really kind of comes into her own while she's in Paris. She meets this like older baron who kind of takes her under his wing and is kind of a mentor to her. So there's a really interesting scene. The cooking class actually is asked to make a souffle, and Sabrina's souffle doesn't cook because she forgets to turn the oven on. So the baron approaches her and tells her it's because she's in love, and that she's obviously unhappily in love because she forgot to turn the oven on. And he says that a woman who's happy in love will burn the souffle, whereas a woman unhappy in love will forget to turn on the oven. And I think it goes to show that in reality, especially for feminine beings, love is our top priority. So other things just don't seem to matter as much when we're really feeling love flowing through us. But it is kind of an interesting line, because if you think about it, when a woman is happily in love, she very often is like on fire, you know what I mean? Like she's got this like a burning desire within her, and she tends to like overdo things. Whereas a woman unhappy in love is going to get distracted and stay cold, right? Like not turn the oven on and stay cold. I think that's just really, it's really a symbolism.
I don't know what happened.
I will tell you what happened. You forgot to turn on the oven.
Oh.
I've been watching you for a long time, mademoiselle. Your mind has not been on the cooking. Your mind has been elsewhere. You're in love. And I will venture to go a step further. You are unhappily in love.
Does it show?
Very clearly. A woman happily in love, she burns the souffle. A woman unhappily in love, she forgets to turn on the oven. Am I correct?
Yes. But I'm trying to get over it.
Oh, I try to get over it. You speak of love like it was a birth cough.
He doesn't even know I exist. Might as well be reaching for the moon.
The moon? Oh, you young people, you are so old-fashioned. Have you not heard? We are building rockets to reach the moon.
And it's interesting, I almost feel like this Baron almost like represents the universe in a sense of telling her that, you know, nothing is hopeless, that she should reach for the moon because, you know, every day we're finding new ways to get to the moon, like reach for the stars, that kind of thing, and to not just give up on love. Sabrina also has this amazing scene where she is writing her father a letter about her time in Paris. And I think it's such a great representation of the feminine, of a woman really coming into her feminine energy, coming into her lover energy, her queen energy. You know, she's tapped into her senses. She's really living life. She is life. Feminine energy is life force energy. It is the energy of sensuality. It's the energy of creativity. And Sabrina's really stepping into that version of herself. Yes, she steps up on the surface. She does upgrade her look. She's more sophisticated coming from Paris and learning more about fashion and things like that. Like she does get a surface makeover, but really it's her internal makeover. It's her zest for life. Her heart is now open. She's living life to the fullest, and she's learned that from being in Paris. And I really think like Paris is representational of love and of sensuality and of her really coming into her own.
It is late at night, and someone across the way is playing La Vie en Rose. It is the French way of saying, I'm looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. And it says everything I feel. I have learned so many things, Father. Not just how to make bichyssoise or calf's head with sauce vinaigrette, but a much more important recipe. I have learned how to live, how to be in the world and of the world, and not just to stand aside and watch. And I will never, never again run away from life. Or from love either.
So when Sabrina comes back to stay with her father, she catches David's eye, and David is convinced that he's in love with her. Now you find out in this film that David's been married like 4 times. He has a tendency to fall in love with people and then fall out of love, and he's just doesn't really keep any responsibility. David is actually, I would consider, a very wounded feminine male. He's still a child. He hasn't actually grown into mature masculine energy. He's just a wandering playboy. He doesn't like responsibility. I have more detail about this in my Cat on a Hot Tin Roof breakdown, talking about wounded feminine energy in men. I actually think it's a very common phenomenon in today's world. It's basically that sort of little boy who just doesn't grow up. You know, he even drives erratically. He just doesn't take responsibility for things and is just all about living for the moment, having fun, you know, being in his own pleasure, and isn't really thinking about other people and other consequences. And technically, David is engaged, which is actually more of a business merger to merge his family with another wealthy family. And he falls for Sabrina and basically is just trying to ditch his fiance and run off with Sabrina. And so he's really playing 2 women at the same time. And Sabrina knows this, but she is so taken with David. She does do a really good job in a lot of the scenes of not fully giving herself over to David right away. She plays it back a little bit. She plays it cool. She leans back to some extent, but she is very open to David because he's really been the man that she's been dreaming about for so long, that she is ignoring a lot of the red flags. She knows he's engaged. She knows his reputation, but she's just so enamored with him that she's just willing to go with it because this is what she's always wanted. So as much as Sabrina has stepped into her queen energy, she hasn't fully left the wounded part of her maiden energy that is thinking that this guy is going to rescue her and that she's going to live happily ever after. Now Linus, played by Humphrey Bogart, is the epitome of a masculine character in this film. He is so focused on his passion and his purpose. And there's actually a really great scene where he talks to David about running the business and running the family business and about how it is about something greater than himself. It is not just about the money. Money is just a byproduct. And this scene to me is the epitome of what a masculine purpose is.
Then why don't you marry her?
Me?
Well, what's so funny? You want to die an old maid?
Well, I was just thinking that if I were ever to get married, I'd have to take a dictaphone, 2 secretaries, and 4 corporation counselors along on the honeymoon. I'd be unfaithful to my wife every night of my married life, with vice presidents, boards of directors, slide rule accountants. This is my home. No wife would ever understand it.
Well, neither can I. You've got all the money in the world.
But what's money got to do with it? If making money were all there was to business, it's hard to be worthwhile going to the office. Money is a byproduct.
But what's the main objective? Power?
Ah, that's become a dirty word.
Well, then what's the urge? You're going into plastics now. What will that prove?
Prove? Nothing much. A new product has been found, something of use to the world. So a new industry moves into an undeveloped area. Factories go up, machines are brought in, a harbor is dug and you're in business. It's purely coincidental, of course, that people who never saw a dime before suddenly have $1. And barefooted kids wear shoes and have their teeth fixed and their faces washed. What's wrong with the kind of an urge that gives people libraries, hospitals, baseball diamonds, and movies on a Saturday night? Miss McCarter, will you send in the secretaries?
Yes, Mr. Larrabee.
Now you make me feel like a heel.
It also shows how Linus puts his purpose above everything else, above relationships, because he's convinced that no woman is going to be okay with him putting his passion and purpose first. Masculine energy in its healthiest form will always put its passion and purpose first. Feminine energy in its healthiest form will always put relationships and connection first. Tends to be a fundamental conflict between the masculine and the feminine, but in reality, it really works so perfectly together. So Linus realizes what's going on between David and Sabrina and decides to distract Sabrina by spending a lot of time with her and to kind of keep David away from her so that he doesn't end up destroying the family business. So Linus and Sabrina are spending a lot of time together, and even though you know that he's doing this because he's trying to save the family business, because he is actually going to try to manipulate Sabrina into sending her away to Paris so she's kind of not a problem anymore, they do spend a lot of time together, and it really is beautiful, the scenes that you see with Sabrina and with Linus, because it's such a great masculine-feminine polarity, and I think it shows when you have a really like grounded, stable masculine presence, how a really like fun, playful, you know, lover queen energy of the feminine can just soften the masculine. It can soften his heart and really open him up.
This is what you do on your very first day in Paris. You get yourself some rain. Not just a drizzle, but honest to goodness rain. Then you find yourself someone really nice and drive her through the Bois de Boulogne in a taxi. The rain's very important because that's when Paris smells its sweetest. It's the damp chestnut trees, you see.
I see.
And she really does such an amazing job of softening him, of being playful, of opening the heart of a man who was determined that he would really never be able to settle down with anyone.
Why are you looking at me that way?
All night long I've had the most terrible impulse to do something.
Oh, never resist an impulse, Sabrina, especially if it's terrible.
I'm going to do it. There.
What's that for?
We can't have you walking up and down the Champs-Élysées looking like a tourist undertaker. And another thing, never a briefcase in Paris and never an umbrella. is a law.
Like, Sabrina fixes his hat so that he looks a little bit more sophisticated. Tells him all about Paris and about like enjoying life and how he needs to enjoy life more, and how beautiful Paris is in the rain. Like, she really entices him with all of her sensuality. It's a subtle sensuality. She's never like overtly sexual in any way, which I actually think is a really great example of how feminine energy doesn't have to be like in your face sexual in order to really be enticing to the masculine. It's just that inner sensuality and that just really enjoying life that really can like draw even like the most closed-hearted masculine into this sort of like feminine goddess sensuality. It's fun how she always says like no umbrella, no briefcase in Paris. Like, that's a big thing. Like, she's trying to entice him into living his life and not always just living it for his purpose, but to actually enjoy his life as well. And that's actually one of the beauties of the masculine feminine polarity, because a healthy masculine energy is so focused on his purpose, having a feminine partner with him that's not really a distraction, but that can actually keep him from getting burnt out, can actually bring him into the pleasures of life that are not so serious and not so structured. It's like that's a beautiful gift that the feminine gives to her masculine partner, is really just getting him to enjoy life the way she enjoys life. And that is one of the most attractive things that the feminine does for the masculine. And towards the end, there's really just an amazing scene that I love, and I wish I could have gotten a clip of, but I can't seem to find it anywhere, where they're in Linus's office and Sabrina is trying to cook something with like tomato juice, as they keep saying. I say tomato, but they say tomato. Let's call the whole thing off. Anyway, that's stupid. It's like Linus is like in his office on the balcony and Sabrina's cooking for him. And it's kind of almost like a glimpse into like what his life would be if he had like a traditional relationship. And him seeing how it fits into his world. But he's still closed off to it. And she's so open-hearted and so loving, and he basically has to confess to her what the plan is and that he was really manipulating her this whole time. When in reality, he was falling in love with her, but he doesn't want to hurt her anymore, so he finally is honest with her. But in this, you see how much Linus's heart is melting. And that's one of the reasons why I love this film so much, is because it really shows how much a feminine cord being can melt the heart of a masculine being. So I highly recommend watching this film, especially for the feminine cord beings out there, because this film has such amazing examples of how the feminine really can just turn on and relax the masculine without even being all that overtly sexual. Not that being flirty in a sexual way is anything bad, but I think this gives you another option. Because as feminine beings, we can always use more colors in our palette to paint the world the way we would like to see it. Oh, I like that. So if you haven't seen this movie already, I highly recommend that you watch it. Even if you've already seen it, I highly recommend that you watch it again after you've watched this video. Some really beautiful scenes, and of course Audrey Hepburn is always the epitome of elegance in this movie. So if you have any other film recommendations, please let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a big thumbs up and be sure you subscribe to my channel. If you would like to connect to your feminine energy, I have an online course called Feminine Radiance. The details are in the description box below, along with links to all my social media channels. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.